Good morning, Southern Illinois. You are listening to Isn't It Queer on WDBX, FM 91.1, community radio serving the Southern Illinois region. This is Jonny, soon to be joined by Heather, and we are recording this show on a Tuesday afternoon before it goes out on a Wednesday morning. Well, today we are entering into the back half of 2026. Pride Month is over, July is beginning, July 4th is on the weekend horizon. We are celebrating as a country our 250th birthday as a country. There are celebrations, allegedly, happening in Washington to mark the important date. And unfortunately, as we deal with the heat of the weather right now, we are also dealing with the heat of some contentious decisions made by our Supreme Court. We're going to review some of those in the front half of the show, but in the back half of the show, we'd like to take a look at how the playing field of the politics of the country seems to be shifting, and what are the consequences of that shift, especially on the left? What does it mean? How is it in response to some of the issues that are now posed before the Supreme Court? What are the impacts it's likely to have on us, and how do we move forward? It is a thick show, and I think we should dive right in. And we're halfway through the year.
Yes, we are.
Where is 2026 going?
To hell in a handbasket?
I don't know.
I mean, it's going interesting places.
Welcome to America.
Yes.
Please have fun. I hope you had a good time. You don't want to be here right now because, oh my God, it's hot.
It is hot and it is humid. It's basically like you're steaming food.
Yeah. It's brutal out there, and I thought it was brutal on Monday. And today, I'm actually really glad to be in our refrigerator studio on the second floor of the comm building.
Yeah.
Where we are protected briefly from the outside brutality of the day that we're recording this. And then I understand, right, this is all the way through Friday. This is all this week.
Yeah, it's an actual heat warning till Friday. And then, just to cap things off, the weekend is all storms.
I know. The part. So first of all, take care of yourself. Be careful. It's hot out there. All the usual stuff that you would say there.
Oh, put out water for insects and small animals because, it's hot.
It's hot.
And they might need some too. I would say water the deer, but some people might have volumes with it.
I have issues with. It's really hot, and even though it's humid, and of course it's the humidity that runs the heat index up and makes it feel even hotter, and one of the reasons why it's dangerous. So it's humid, but at the same time, our skies are full of sand from the Sahara.
Of course, it's that time of year.
It's that time of year. So if you're seeing tan skies and things seem a little bit more blurry and the air quality is down, thank you, Africa.
Hey, that stuff helps our farming and everything. We do need that sand.
You need that sand, but at the same time, it's here. At the same time that we're having heat, at the same time that it's really hot, at the same time that for some strange reason we think it's a good time to play with incendiary objects as part of our patriotism.
Yes, and despite the humidity, things will catch fire.
Yeah.
So please, if you are deciding to blow things up, do it responsibly and do it in a controlled way. Yeah. Don't just let them loose.
Yeah, happy 250th, America. Let's try not to burn down our communities, even though it feels like our government is on fire.
Oh, yes. And remember, pets and vets are not fans of fireworks for the most part.
No.
Because it brings back memories, and the pets are just like, we don't even know why the sky's exploding.
It's terrifying. I do think, on the one hand, like if there's a big display, there is in Carbondale, by the way, I believe at the stadium on campus.
Nice and controlled.
The big stuff that's up in the sky, that's for about a half an hour. Good times, have a good time. The stuff that just really drives me crazy, especially in Makanda, is the days and hours that they do your own personal fireworks just going off all over the valley, echoing off the bluff walls. Our cats hate it. I'm tolerant of it for a little while, and then I'm like, come on, guys, it's after 10. Stop it. So show some sympathy and care for your neighbors and try to control that, and maybe just the 4th, please, just the 4th.
Well, okay, we'll give you a slight buy. The 3rd and the 5th are also, likely. But please don't just blow things up from now until August.
Yeah, and it is probably the case, if you wanted to get it done early, that this weekend, on the other side of this heat wave, it looks like there's going to be some serious stormy, nasty weather.
So getting in those booms on Friday might be helpful.
Yeah, fireworks and thunderstorms do not mix.
Well, they can. It's just really interesting.
They feel like a bad competition about who can be louder and flashier, and that's not a competition we want. Save that for the drag shows.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm happy to see that the 250th fair on the mall is just going so exceptionally well.
Absolutely. I mean, they have all those booths, many of which are empty except for a flag that they can't even get right in some cases.
Are you dissing North Carolina?
No, I'm not dissing the state. I am dissing the administration who made a flag that has never existed for North Carolina. Even during the Confederacy, this was not their flag.
But it looks like a Confederate flag, a Confederate battle flag.
It's a Confederate battle flag with the little North Carolina stuff tacked onto one side. And, oh, man, the governor of that state just went off.
Yeah.
And then, a sponsor who saw what the governor was mad at pulled out. I'm just like, oh, my, this is not going well. And the big triumphant arch is falling apart.
Which you can see from the one ride, the Ferris wheel.
Yes, and the food court, which was going to feature food from all over the country, which, honestly, if you had a fair where it's just, hey, food from the entire U.S. is here, oh, my God, I would be in line for that because that would be such a good fair. You would explode from the tasty.
Yeah.
But, no, the power died and food spoiled because honestly, refrigerators, they do need power in heat.
Yeah. Now, we've seen wonderful reporting from people who claim that there are thousands of people at this event while showing footage that there's not
like
thousands.
12.
Yeah, no, it is ridiculously low turnout. Admittedly, early in the week and a hot week. But as we said, the temperature does not seem particularly welcoming. If you've ever been in D.C. in the summer, it's well known for its humidity.
Well, I mean, it's an entire city built on a swamp.
Yeah.
That's just facts.
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with the reflecting pool right now.
Yeah, you could drain it, but you're only going to do harm to the city if you do. So, yeah. It's not good. I don't anticipate it's turning out really well. By the way, there was an anonymous released report from somebody on the inside of the Smithsonian kind of expressing their saltiness because the Smithsonian for years has been prepping for this 250th celebration.
Oh, the stuff I saw from them was amazing.
They had all kinds of things planned that I think lots of people wanted to be a part of. Lots of people wanted to be there because it was under the Smithsonian's name, under their flag, et cetera. But when this administration came in, they threw out all of those plans, took over, and decided they were going to do it themselves. And many people have decided not to participate.
Well, I mean, he set up effectively the Hunger Games for athletes from every state. And I'm like, that's not a good look.
I'm fascinated that, sad as it was, thanks to inclement weather, the most important celebrity of our day, Vanilla Ice, was canceled.
No.
That's digging in the Wayback Machine there. That's really showing how desperate you are to have somebody will be recognized.
What makes me so pleased is to see that initially Milli Vanilli was announced. Yeah. And I'm like, are you kidding me? And then Milli Vanilli was like, no, we're not doing this.
No, yeah, not even on tape.
I'm like, wow, you know what's going to happen.
Yeah. Well, there's the irony to me of Ice Baby being heat waved and stormed out. But,
Yeah.
And they only probably wanted it for Ice Baby, for their meaning of ice. So.
Yes.
Oh God, it is a little bit of a disaster. It's not looking particularly well for Trump. I understand that they have also sort of taken over what's supposed to happen on the 4th and really basically turning it into a MAGA rally. So they're trying to get the crowds there, but they'll be all Make America Great kind of red hats folks.
Considering people have been leaving those rallies early normally as of late, I don't think this is going to go well. And I may put money on the fact that Hegseth is probably going to task soldiers to show up, wear red hats, and be all, Yay!
That's not at all a violation of military protocol, would it?
No, not even.
No.
That's perfectly fine for the,
Well, there's nobody left
SecDef
in terms of a council or generals to sort of call him on those choices because he keeps firing them.
Oh, yeah.
His advisory board, he's replaced now entirely.
It's like you get there, you sit down, and then your number's been called again, and then you have to leave. I mean, no wonder we lost to Iran.
We did have that wonderful moment where both the House and the Senate said, no, War Powers Act, we want you to not do this without approval, except on that second vote in the Senate, a few Republicans were like, oh, we ticked him off, we better switch back. That's all it took.
Every time one of them finds a spine in a closet, they freak out because it was in a closet. Is it a gay spine? Oh, God.
I don't know. It's rainbow spine. I don't know. It's terrible. The other place where the heat is falling, there are some victories. There are some losses. It is a hard time to turn our attention to the third alleged branch of the government, the Supreme Court, the Justice Branch, because we're getting our decisions from the 25-26 docket are starting to come down.
Yeah, and I'm just, instead of thinking of them as justices, well, except for three, three, I'm like, okay, you're justices, but the rest are just people in muumuus with big hammers.
That sometimes apparently like to go wandering around the House of Representatives and not say why they're over there.
Yes. So,
Justice Thomas, looking at you.
So shout out to Martavius, who probably isn't even remotely listening, but thank you for the moo comment. It's perfect.
Yeah, it is. It's how I feel about many of them. Now, oddly, though, of course, there were some breaks along the ideological lines of our court. Some conservatives who sort of teamed up with the liberals to not award Trump everything he's asked for.
Yeah, the places where they said yes are impactful and will get us in the long run, but for the day-to-day lives of most Americans, it's not going to have an impact for months. And then they made decisions where it's going to impact immediately, and then decisions where they're like, you know what? I'm sorry, Stephen Miller, but your top one item is defeated.
Yeah. So birthright citizenship is maintained.
It's maintained.
It's in the Constitution.
They're like, this is how it is. And Stephen Miller is probably, kicking puppies or something in response.
They tried so hard to run that on an argument about jurisdiction in the language of the Constitution and what that means. And it was like, this might work with your MAGA base and people who don't know the Constitution or don't know law or don't know what the word jurisdiction means. But I'm sorry.
Like against these people?
In a court of law, even with a heavily banked towards your side Supreme Court.
I mean, it was basically Thomas and Alito saying,
I made excuses for why we should still do it. Because
I can't remember if Kavanaugh joined them, but I do know that I think it was Roberts and Comey Barrett, were like, hey, no, this isn't how this works.
Yeah. They actually care about the law in some cases. But yay, that's passed, and that's a good thing, and so we'll take it. Also, by the way, mail-in voting, the
Supreme Court says, no, that's okay.
It's okay. And
because it's a state decision, and you can't interfere with the state's decision.
And that there's no real need for or read on federal policy against mail that comes in up to 5 days after the election day. And so what's your issue? And so that's a big loss, by the way.
And I think it also kind of guts the whole plan of the post office saying, if we don't have voter rolls to check off on, we won't
not
send
the post office's job.
Because it's not their job. It's a state decision.
Now, this has motivated Trump, who is, by the way, not signing a bipartisan housing bill that everybody agrees would be beneficial and maybe help with affordability.
Which resulted in a screaming match.
Yeah.
Which, okay.
And let's be clear, he's not vetoing it. He's just not signing it. So in 10 days, well, now less than 10 days, it'll be law anyway. He doesn't actually have the magical power of approval. He has the magical power of veto as the president. It's good that he signed a bill that's passed, especially a bipartisan one, but he chose not to because he's not signing anything until the SAVE Act is passed.
Which is unlikely to get passed.
Well, it got passed in the House, barely, one more time. So it's off to the Senate, where it probably will not be passed because they
yeah.
don't have the numbers and they are unwilling to change it in ways that would match. And to be clear here, I am so tired of the ways that gets framed for us as we just want IDs for the voters. Why would that be a problem? It's like,
you have all these roadblocks to getting those IDs
Yes.
in many, many cases. That's what the problem is. And you don't accept a number of things that are otherwise accepted as IDs.
Right.
It's got to be, I think, what they want it to be, either a passport or that gold star on your driver's license.
The harder driver's license to get. That's a pain that many people don't have, even who are longtime citizens of the United States. For many generations, their families have been here, but they don't have that driver's license, and those are kind of a pain to get.
Yeah, because you have to have all this other documentation to show, as opposed to, hey, I'm here, look at me, and they go, well, yes, I see you. You're clearly here.
And again, Trump administration investigations have been unable to find any examples of illegal citizens voting. There have been a few, excuse me, I'm wrong. I believe there have been less undocumented immigrants in America voting illegally in the last 20 years than there are felonies against Trump.
Yes, yes. And very happy for E. Jean Carroll, who...
Another Supreme Court win for us, loss for Trump.
Yeah, he has to start shelling out money.
On the defamation part of that case.
Yeah. The other part, that where it's like 88 million.
Yeah, because he refused and postponed and they had to come back.
Yeah, and so I'm sure that's not going to go well either, because it's, again, to the Supremes, this was fairly adjudicated.
Yeah. And it's the curious case, right? So we go back and forth on the technicalities, almost like jurisdiction, about whether it was really sexual assault. And whether that's what he was accused of. He's accused of defamation because he tried to make her out to be lying about sexual assault, when what the court found was actually there was, and that was a defamation charge against him that he's now having to pay. So it is ultimately, although in a way that I'm sure that many a MAGA will find a way to slip out from under, an example of, we have a president that is a convicted sexual offender.
Yes, because remember, those 32 felony counts are not for sexual assault.
It's business.
Yeah. It's business shenanigans. So, terrible businessman and a sexual offender.
And remember, just to make it really 100% clear, a grand jury had to approve the bringing of those charges against him. A jury of his peers actually found and responded to those felony charges. The legal process was used, and that, in fact, is what the Supreme Court has sided with, that this was a just and accurate procedure and that he is responsible for the finding of the courts. So take that.
Yes, and while there is a lot of proof and evidence that Donald Trump is a pedophile, it has not been adjudicated, so it is not legally a decision. It's in things people have read and seen that have already been ruled as evidence by the FBI.
Yeah.
So take that as you will. Take a look at the Epstein files. Enjoy the...
They're not going anywhere, by the way. They continue to have their own developments. Though one of my favorite legal developments, sort of outside of SCOTUS for the moment, this past week has been the presumptuous lawsuit against the BBC about how they represented him over the 2021 assault on the Capitol.
Yes, and so the BBC is like, well, we need all this information, including phone records from before and after.
Which they don't want to give up, but now they have to because discovery.
Yep, and they're like, oh, this all has relevance because you're saying our reporting was inaccurate. We want to show the accuracy, and they don't learn.
Yeah,
they just don't learn.
The funny thing was apparently the Trump lawyers kind of came back and said this isn't a case about January 6th. And I mean, the judge and BBC were like, yeah, actually it is. That's what you're charging us with and misrepresenting you. So absolutely this is within the realm of this case. And so, at least for now, it looks like they have to produce it. And sorry, not sorry. Okay. We started with the good news. I mean, ish. I mean, the places where he's losing. But he has had some victories, and some of them touch a little bit close to home. As we're recording today, we're learning. So let's start with the one that we learned about yesterday. he has some powers, or let's be clear here. The president, whoever the president is, including the next president, now thanks to SCOTUS, has some powers.
That precedent set 90-something years ago said presidents don't have this power. Yeah. They have reversed that precedent and said you can completely fire anyone from an independent agency if that agency falls under the executive branch, because the president is the head of the executive branch, and that would include independent agencies. On one hand, you can kind of see it. On another hand, these were organizations set up by Congress and should not fall under the jurisdiction of the executive branch, but should fall under legislative. But that is a bit of nuance that no one bothers to work.
It is, and it's one of Trump's frustration with government for a long time, is that governments aren't, in fact, run like corporate structures.
Yes, with the king at top.
Yeah, the president is not the same as the CEO of a company, and doesn't have that power of the company that they're overseeing. Because remember, a company can rise or fall based on the CEO. Its investors can decide the CEO is out if they want a different kind of management, all of that kind of thing. And many a company and thing that Trump has been the CEO of has failed.
Trump Steaks, Trump Wine, Trump University.
Yeah. If America is now, America Incorporated, if it's a corporation, if it's run by the same models, we got a not very good track record CEO in charge right now. Thank you, SCOTUS, for that power that you've given him. But here's the thing. You gave it to the office. So that means whoever the next president is
can do the same thing.
And I think it's not going to take too long for us to realize that is a dangerous disruption of the balance of power in the three branches of government. And I hope at some point in the future we have some correction to that.
I really hope between the midterms and 28, we manage to get a lot more spines in the government, because that would be useful, because standing up to tyrants and bigots and just general idiots is good for the country. You want the country to run well. And honestly, because of how diverse our country is in many ways, that's a tough job. And you need people who work together to try and make things work, not we're going to run over you and do whatever we want, which has been the prevailing approach for over a few decades.
Man.
However, the bad news...
The really bad news, speaking of running over people.
Yes, is SCOTUS has decided that trans athletes do not qualify under Title IX protection, because when Title IX was created, the understanding of the word sex did not include gender identity, and or the fact that gender identity itself was related to sex. No, they say it's biological sex, that's it. So that precedent is going to be used quite ugly against us. So trans people, hold on to your butts. This is going to get exciting in all the wrong ways.
It is a dangerous precedent. Right now it's sort of focusing primarily on trans athletes and their right to play in the sport and the teams that align with their gender. It doesn't take into account things like the various treatments that trans athletes go through to have that body, to be themselves as they know themselves to be. And
because, I'm sorry, if you may have been assigned male at birth and you are on puberty blockers, let's not even go to hormones, you're on puberty blockers. This means the testosterone that gives you those benefits is not present, or is present in such minute amounts that it doesn't have a transformative effect. And if you're assigned female at birth, again, puberty blockers, not getting any estrogen that's going to have any profound effect. These are basically how those medications work. And so, yeah.
It is a scary precedent, and it feels like the wedge that they've wanted so that they can make this assertion that they've been trying to make, that what we assign you at birth is what you are legally, and there's no changing it. It's what's behind so many of the ID laws. It's what's behind so many of the access to healthcare laws. It's behind so much of the bans that they try to make. And I know that this is primarily about athletes right now, but it is not only about athletes. And we already know that coming up on the 26-27 docket, they've agreed to take up the great controversy of parental rights around teen gender-affirming care. That's another plank in the argument that's particularly risky for them, because mostly they tend to argue for parental rights and the right of the family to make all kinds of decisions. But if a parental right includes gender-affirming care...
Well, they've already sort of dealt with care that is not affirming, which would be conversion therapy. Yeah. And again, it fell down to states and parental rights. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that's a fun avenue to counter it. It's like, you approved this because of states and parental rights. This is, again, state and parental rights. Yeah. And,
at least with the conversion therapy decision that SCOTUS gave us earlier, that is a decision that helped states like Colorado and California just rewrite their conversion therapy bans so that they can align with the court's objections over different views and so forth among the people. So it's going to be a hard one for them to overturn now because of some of so I think, at least for those states, those conversion therapy bans are there.
And tying to that same logical reasoning can make it harder to go after this care, because you're like, look, you flat out stated this. We're saying the same thing. Yeah. It's literally the opposite point. And if your logic holds here, your logic must hold here. Yeah. And that'll be interesting to see how they bend and twist themselves to be able to say otherwise.
Several of the conservative justices actually care about that. Alito and Thomas, not so much. But yeah, several of the justices actually care about being consistent, at least in their own decisions, even if they don't care about precedent and are willing to overturn it.
Yeah, and... This is not a good thing, because they're going to use this Title IX redefinition to go after workplace things, because workplace things were protected under Title IX, and a couple other things protected under Title IX. So, yeah, get ready for a string of attacks in various states based off of that logical reasoning. It is not a good thing. So... hunker down if you have to. Get out of a red state if you have to. If you're here in Illinois, try to breathe a little bit, because even though it's terrible, the state has your back.
Yeah. Well, actually, why don't we take a little break for station identification and then come back, and we can actually talk about some of the impacts of these Supreme Court decisions, and in general, some of the evidence that we have that there is pushback at state levels that should give us some hope while the SCOTUS continues to make such a mixed bag of decisions. I'm happy for the ones that are challenging Trump, but I don't like these other ones that just feel like creating nightmares. You are listening to Isn't It Queer on WDBX FM 91.1, community radio serving the Southern Illinois region. We're going to take a quick minute to listen to one of our station's underwriters, and we'll be right back after this message.
Support for community radio on WDBX comes from the Carbondale Times newspaper, serving the community with news, sports, entertainment, and all things Carbondale since 1997. Pick up a copy of the Times each Friday for civic news, information on who's playing the Strip this weekend, an extensive list of upcoming community events, and all the latest on Carbondale Terrier and Saluki athletics. Best of all, it's free. And to keep up with the Times anytime, visit us online at carbondaletimes.com or look us up on Facebook. Want even more information? Give us a call at 549-2799. Thanks for reading, and remember, together we are Carbondale.
And we're back.
Yes, we are.
So, first half of the show, a little bit of ranting about the weather and Washington and big federal decisions. Let's back it down to the state just a little bit here.
Yeah. I mean, the first part was swamp.
Yeah.
And the next part is Swamp adjacent.
Swamp adjacent. It's hot. It's heat and humidity across the country. Here's the thing. We're halfway through the year. Yeah. It's July 1st. We're starting the back 6 months of this year, and in the front half of this year, we have seen 529 anti-LGBTQ bills and legislation proposed, not necessarily passed into law. 529 across the country. In fact, a small portion of them have been passed, and that small portion is toxic enough. But I think what it gives us insight into is the ways that SCOTUS decisions, the ways that federal policy from a Trump administration that's not particularly supportive of LGBTQ, particularly T, rights, motivates state legislatures to push this. And here's the part that really gets me is that Illinois has had a lot of proposals here. 23 different bills challenging things in Illinois, all 23 have been defeated. So on the one hand, grr for proposing them, but on the other hand, not going to happen in Illinois.
Well, my bet is because they probably knew they weren't going to do anything. Mm-hmm. It's an attempt to, hey, look, we're still MAGA. We're still part of that base. Yeah. And so just by rolling them up the flagpole, even though no one saluted, that their base is going, oh, well, at least you tried.
Yeah. Well, I think the other one, too, is that they perceive this as a divisive issue. And they want always, as you do, to get your opponents voting against the thing that you have proposed so that you can monitor their track record and make it part of your campaign. But if they've been paying attention to the primaries, that's not going so well. The let's use LGBTQ folks as our primary platform, whether you're Democrat or Republican,
has been bad.
It's not really promoting you very far, Nancy Mace. It's not really promoting you to get any kind of position in your primary battle because it's not the motivation you think it is.
That's right. And Nancy Mace, famous for her 5th place finish, made it her entire identity, and it was denied.
I forget if it's, I think it's Utah, a Republican who was very vocal about anti-gay stuff and all that kind of stuff and wanting to block things everywhere that had anything to do with LGBTQ, lost his primary in the biggest possible way. And it's just, if you make that the center charge, it's not doing you what you think it's doing.
It's not even resonating with your base.
Yeah.
Because I think people are tired of it. Yeah. Yes, I get the idea that a number of people are like, I'm a little uncomfortable with this. This seems to be going fast. Mm-hmm. That's natural and human. Humans freak out over a lot of things. But to make that your identity and keep to it for a long time,
while things like affordability and housing costs and our involvement in foreign wars and those kinds of things are going on, and you're still focusing on
something that only affects a minute portion of the population,
something that doesn't impact your life at all, something that does have no impact on affordability, on child safety, on any of the things that you're so concerned about that you raise the threat. Oh, we got to be worried about this. And what I think it shows is when your state legislature can only argue about anti-LGBTQ laws or trans bans or ID laws or those kinds of things and not pass things that help your constituents, that doesn't really play out very well for you, especially when things are as economically dire as they are right now.
Dire is a good word for it. I was going to suggest fraught. Dire, I think, might be a bit better.
It's right there. So, but even here in Illinois, where we have, we're a pretty blue state, the legislature is clearly dominated right now by Democrats who are starting to show different varieties of their own leaning. We'll get to that here in a second. We see that they're still trying to be significant on the minority party by putting up 23, just in the first half of the year, 23 different bills challenging LGBTQ rights in Illinois.
And it's not a population thing because California had somewhere between 1 and 5.
Yeah.
New York had between 1 and 5. Yeah. I think you said Texas was 0?
Yeah, Texas is 0. I believe Nevada is 0. Montana is 0. Why? Because they already have them.
They've already done that. Florida
actually has several.
Because Florida keeps trying to be the leader in trans repression.
Yeah. And Tennessee, of course, has a whole lot too. I didn't count them up, but it's more than 16. So it's it's intense. By the way, this is an ACLU tracking article that we flipped into Flipboard. If you want to go see, they actually have state by state, and they have information about each of the bills that were put forward, whether they're trans bans or ID bans or bathroom bans or rights taken away or limitations on education or whatever. There are so many different kinds of these anti-LGBTQ bills and so many things that are being pressed and pushed because, I don't know, it's the most important thing right now. About that Democratic variety. So we've had some primaries. We talked a little bit about them, but some fallout is starting to happen, especially on the Democratic side of things, as these primaries are playing out, especially in more progressive states, because the sort of centrist mainstream Democrats aren't the ones that are winning.
No. I mean, there was elections for House seats in New York, and Mom Donnie supported a couple of candidates, and they won over the more traditional Democrat position. And honestly, if I was the DNC, I would be paying attention because this tells you a lot about what general Americans feel about some of this stuff. It's like, no, all ships rise, not just some. If we put rocks in another boat, it's not going to help us get any higher. And it's that same realization in a lot of people because, again, a lot of these progressive candidates are like, we're here to fix things. We're not here to attack people for who they love, who they are, where they're from, any of that. We're here to fix the roads, fix all the infrastructure, make sure you have health care, make sure all these important things are taken care of.
Now, some folks a little bit, further to the progressive, but in ways that are resonating with people, and that's the part that I think we have to remember here. You can freak out about it if you want to, but when you have a candidate win a primary and a Democratic primary, when part of their big push is we need to see if we can get rid of this electoral college. That's a big push, and maybe it's a liability, I suppose, for some would see it that way. But why would Americans be drawn to somebody who wants to get rid of the Electoral College unless they feel like the Electoral College is part of the problem and that it's been causing the problem that has been abusing us in this country?
To be fair, it is. Mm-hmm. By shifting the fact that these smaller states still have decent-sized numbers proportionally means that fewer of their people have a larger impact in the electing of the president. Because if you kept the math for, say, Montana's electoral votes or North Dakota's, California would have many more. Texas would have many more. Florida would have many more. And Florida and Texas, not big fans of progressive politics, but that gives you an idea. So these states with lower populations, if you kept those ratios, would be, again, their power would vanish. Yeah. So that, I think, is a good way to do it, is say, we'll go with the lowest ratio, and that's the ratio for everybody.
I don't think that getting rid of the Electoral College would necessarily end gerrymandering, because you're still going to want to have some control over who's representing you in Congress and manipulate that way. But it would completely have, if we had managed to get rid of it, it would completely undermine the attempts to do redistricting mid-decade that has been so much the story of the last year. And that is all tied to Electoral College and presidential election.
And to be fair, if we had gotten rid of the Electoral College, that wouldn't have mattered this time either. He still would have been elected because he still did win the popular vote. Yep. So it's not just that. It's a way to make the will of Americans count more. If you go with every American gets a vote and the total votes are counted, that means every American has the same power as every other American. so that someone in Montana doesn't have disproportionate electoral power to someone in California.
Some of the arguments are a little bit challenging to some of our beliefs.
Yeah.
Some folks right now, and we flipped a couple of stories in on this to sort of show that this is also impacting the LGBTQ community and things like pride fairs and whatnot. But there is, on the progressive left, a whole lot of pushback to places like Israel and Palestine and support for that. And, of course, that aligns itself, as we've talked about on here before, sometimes that aligns itself with it's anti-Semitic to make those charges. There's a difference between being against somebody's religion and their ethnic identity. Yes, that would be anti-Semitism.
Well, see, to make it clear, I am very anti this current Israeli government.
Yes.
Because they are terrible.
Yes.
The people of Israel, many of whom are absolutely wonderful people. They may not agree with some of my politics. That's fine. We're not from the same country. You get to believe whatever you want.
Two stories, by the way. One is the parade march in New York City. There was a sort of Jews for Pride group that kind of came through. Audience response to them was not
It was
kind.
mixed.
It was mixed. There were folks.
Some people cheered, which, I mean, I'll cheer any of these groups unless it's MAGA for Pride, in which case you're like, what? But some people were booing them, and to me, in that situation, that comes across as very anti-Semitic, because they're not saying Israelis, for Pride. They're saying Jews for Pride.
Yeah. On the other hand, in San Francisco, the candidate who is actually running to replace Nancy Pelosi's seat in the House, an out gay Jewish politician in California, went, as he has done every year, to a trans rally in, I forget which park, and had to run away and leave because a lot of people saw him and harassed him for his positions, his outspoken positions on pro-Israel attitude towards Palestine. Not his Judaism, but his political stance that many on the left are like,
And to be fair, you can attack someone's political stance as long as you make it clear it's your political stance, I think, is wrong.
Yeah.
Not you, your stance.
Yeah.
They are different things.
It is a tensiveness. It is honestly, when we do the sort of post-mortem, as the Democrats like to call it, of the 2024 election.
I prefer after-action report.
After-action report. Okay, fine, because we're not dead. But that tension, and I think that it's something that's still haunting us just a little bit, is around how America responds to Israel, especially in the post-October 7th. Justification for assaulting Gaza Strip and elsewhere. It is a tensive moment for the left in so many ways, and it is one that runs the risk, even within queer communities, of tearing us apart.
I am not a fan of our country giving so much money to another country that is pretty much their defense budget. Yeah. I do not think that is a good thing. Yeah, that we're funding you so that you can do whatever you want with your military.
And we have very little influence over that. Biden found that out.
Yeah.
I wish we found out in a different way, but he found it out in a hard way that has consequences. Trump has been finding that out. Remember, I don't think we would be in this war. It is a war. This war with Iran if it weren't for the current administration of Israel trying to get us to be in it. Yeah, and to be clear, right? This is, oh God, there is no anti-Semitism on this show. I'm sorry, there isn't. We are voicing what I think is this concern that is a legitimate concern on the left, and really, honestly, across the country, across ideological perspectives, about our continued blank check support for a state that does not have much accountability and seems too willing, under its current administration, to stir things up in ways that are just not helpful for the rest of the world, helpful for us, and we've walked right into it. And yes, I think that's one of the reasons why that's motivating some of the positions that folks are taking.
And to be fair, we have supported Israel for a very long time. Yeah. And I don't say, let's not support Israel. I'm just saying, let's not be their sole defense budget.
Yeah.
I don't think that's right, because if we're giving money to a country, it should go to the country, not just the Defense Department.
Yeah. Here's the thing, right?
It's a nuanced situation. People
situation.
can have nuanced opinions.
Yeah. And I think it's worth sort of paying attention to the fact that the people who are voting, the people who are electing, think that these issues matter. You can use them as a stigma if you want, but they are carrying some weight in primary elections at least, and we'll see how they carry out in the midterm elections. Here's what's also as a fallout to this, right?
Yeah.
Two. One, boy, did Mike Johnson and the Republican Party jump on this like it was a Christmas gift, because now they can list things like they're anti-Semitic, they want to get rid of the Electoral College, they're just bad, they're communists, they're trying. And so now the big push is the Democrats are communists.
Well, and
like
socialists.
And socialists.
Because they list both,
That's
despite
right,
the fact that both are mutually exclusive.
Yeah. And let's remember that some of these progressive Democrats are quite comfortable calling themselves democratic socialists. Not the same thing. Right.
Yes.
Yeah. Finland, Norway, Sweden,
they're democratic
Netherlands,
socialists.
Democratic socialists.
So it's we're a democratic government, and the Socialist Party is, and we take care of our people.
Yeah.
Which fundamentally a country should do.
We're okay in a democratic socialist state with there being wealthy people. We just don't think that there should be deadly poverty, and that we should be able to keep all of our citizens in a healthy way, and not just, allow them to suffer so that we can have even more wealthy people.
And I love the fact that Finland taxes you for speeding based off of your income.
Yeah.
The higher your income, the more the ticket. And I'm like, oh, that's clever.
It's very smart. I really like it. They're not the only ones, though. It would be one thing, right, if we could say the Republicans were happy. Look at these progressive, far-left Democrats that are winning. Now we have something that maybe we could win the midterms on.
No.
Because also in the Democratic Party, there's been a coalition of centrists who are coming together because they're very concerned that this is going to actually cost us the midterm if we go too far to the left and are too progressive.
It's not. That's what people want.
Yeah.
Because we have gone so far to the right, they're trying to spin the Overton window back towards the center. I mean, we are actually rather far right, because even Bernie doesn't look as left as he used to.
No. Part of the argument and part of the concern has been, first of all, some of these were in New York, particularly New York City. Of course, the right is very eager to make Mayor Mamdani the face of this new progressive movement. And I love him because his response has been, do it, fine,
yeah, okay.
I'm happy. Yeah, great, thanks for the advertisement. He's perfectly willing to have that, because part of this has been the candidates that he endorsed, who are also pro-LGBTQ, as is he, have won. And he's actually demonstrated that his perspective and what he's bringing to the campaign is not a losing position. It's actually really resonating with people. And it's not just in New York City and New York.
And the thing I find interesting, and this can tie nicely to Illinois, is Mamdani gets in office and says, hey, we're several billion in debt. What if we do this? And they said, okay. And they did. And boom, their deficit disappeared. Just like J.D. Pritzker inherited the governorship. And we were in a lot.
I know that there is a lot of right-wing pushback against our governor.
Which is fair. Go for it.
Yeah, you get to. Apparently, 23 bills about anti-LGBTQ rights seems to dominate because financially he's actually doing pretty well. Now, you can make complaints about the high tax rates in Illinois, and you probably can get some traction there. Of course, the turnaround on tax rates, when you want to claim that it's going to all the people up north, does not hold up, because per capita, I believe the suburbs of Chicago get about 80 or less cents to the dollar of what they pay in taxes. Per capita down here in Southern Illinois, $2.80 for every dollar we pay in taxes.
Yeah. Because honestly, we need it.
Yeah.
And that's fair. We'll take what you'll give us.
Well, and it doesn't seem like a lot of money is coming down here because we're not as populated as the Chicago area is. And so that's...
Yeah, and we're not as unified as some of those areas. So we have a lot of different approaches to our portions of the money, which instead of working regionally together to try and, hey, let's see if we can get all of our boats moving, we're all trying to change the water at the same time, and so that's not working.
While others have been attacking LGBTQ rights and particularly trans rights, Mamdani has done things like set aside money, We might say not as much as he promised in the campaign, but his mayorship is not over yet.
Yeah, he's said, okay, hey, I know this was an issue. We were working it out. We're spending $14 million, which is not $65 million, which he promised, but it's 14 on helping trans youth healthcare. Yeah. Which, great. That's excellent. Thank you. And, people are right to, because if someone makes a promise and they don't keep it, hold them to it. Mm-hmm. Whether they're Democrat, Republican, or independent, if they say, we'll do this, hold them to it.
Yeah. As you do and as you should. That's the part that I want our LGBTQ allies and friends to pay attention to, is that when we look for who is unequivocal in their support of LGBTQ people, including trans people, it is this more progressive, democratic, socialist, more left that is willing to do that is not willing to clutch pearls and go, I'm not sure that we should do that because it might make us lose. They actually stand up for it. That is also true in this state, where our governor signed into law 3 different bills that were passed out of the legislature that are pro-LGBTQ, but more specifically pro-trans. One that allows the correction of gender markers on IDs and makes it clear. One that mandates insurance care for prescribed hormones and hormone therapy, so that the state is requiring insurance to cover that. And then another that modifies a prescription monitoring program so that it can't essentially use the monitoring to deny folks on gender-affirming care their hormone treatments.
Oh, so this enables you to have a little bit of a stockpile.
Yes, you can have a stockpile. You can get it, and if I'm understanding right, it's essentially monitoring people's prescriptions, and when things seem a little bit fishy, they'll stop them. Folks have abused that system to try and stop people from getting gender-affirming care hormone treatments, and now we have a law that actually stops that.
And that's great.
Yeah. And then he went out and he marched in pride and was really happy to be there and say, look what I did, and yay, and was with the community in person, visibly, performatively, if you like, but with the community also legally in terms of passing substantive, important legislation and signing it into law.
And that's what's important, is taking care of your people. Mm-hmm. And it means all your people.
Yeah.
Whatever their faith, whatever their gender identity, whatever their sexual preference, whatever their nationality, whatever, any of that. All these differences, you take care of your people.
I am of the opinion that the further left we go, the further we push left, is not a problem, and is not a problem threatening us with the midterms. I may be wrong about that. I may regret this come November. We'll see. Here's why. I really think that some of the more thorny issues need to be things that we are talking about rather than pretending we only have one answer for and we must be quiet and conform to that, or else we'll lose elections. The silence and not allowing people a chance at the podium is not a way to go with that. These are issues that matter to the American people, and we should talk about them. They are not actually the LGBTQ issues. Those don't really seem to be resonating with the American people, except why are you harming folks? Why are you making this a big issue? The ones that actually draw money from us, that impact our affordability, our ability to live productively in the country, that seem to get us drawn into foreign conflicts that cost us while raising the money of billionaires who shift around investments and know how to play that market. Those are the things that actually seem to be resonating with and concerning voters right now. Yeah. We need to have these conversations. We need to make them part of our political action. When we silence them, when we pretend, when we try to play safe so that we'll get elected and we can push back against the ludicrousness of what feels like the far-right destruction of our government, that's not undermining it. That's actually making us stronger.
I mean, I know I'm not the most politically savvy person out there. I'm pretty politically blunt. But I don't see a problem with someone saying, this is what I believe. This is what I stand for. You can stand for whatever you want, but this is what I stand for. Stating your opinion flat out and letting the people decide is what democracy is supposed to be. If you obfuscate your beliefs, you're trying to cheat your way into office. I'm not a big fan of that, whether you're Democrat or Republican. If you believe something, just say it.
Yeah. And, manipulating how states run their elections, trying to cut people out from being able to vote because they can't afford an ID.
Gerrymandering of any kind. It should all be as neutral as possible, which in some cases can't be overly neutral. Let's be frank with that.
At least by different historians' rankings of presidents and whatnot, Trump can't really win much on the merits of his own policies, practices, and leadership as president, nor can his party right now, which has done nothing but enable him and allow him to do whatever he wants.
I mean, he can't legislate and control a reflecting pool.
He can't drain that swamp either. Mm-hmm. We are happy to have people like Mayor Mamdani in New York, Governor Pritzker here in Illinois, these sort of big name folks who we pretty much anticipate we're going to be seeing on the political landscape for a while, doing the advocacy, doing the fight for this. But we remind you that it's sometimes the local folks who are doing the nuts and bolts work that also do the important work. And so here at the end, we just want to give a big old shout out right now to Carrie Vine. Yay, Carrie Vine.
Carrie is awesome.
Carrie has done a lot for this community, many different ways. She's been on this show, of course, more often serving as the former executive officer of the Rainbow Cafe, and representing and talking through some of the things that Rainbow Cafe and then its Rainbow Wellness Center provided for Southern Illinois community, and we've been happy to talk with her about those practices. She has now
a new job.
She is, to add to her collection of jobs and things that she does for the community. She is on the board for Equality Illinois, and I think that she's going to represent Southern Illinois really well on that, and has been somebody who has participated with and partnered with Equality Illinois throughout her work down here. And I just congratulations on that.
We are really very proud of you here on this show. You are doing amazing work. Thank you.
We kind of want to talk with you about it too, but that could be for later in the month. Just putting that out there in case you're listening.
But as a final Pride shout out, we're shouting you out. And thank you to everyone who's had a really great Pride here in Carbondale and Jackson County. You guys are amazing.
It has been an amazing month. I was seeing some folks who were stressed out about it because, of course, when you speak up for Pride and when you show up and we celebrate each other, you also have the various folks who try to push back and that kind of stuff. And it's always hard to see that. Even with the decisions coming out of the Supreme Court, I really don't think they're going to win. I think that these are bad decisions that are going to be shown to be bad, and we will eventually overturn them. Not just this ridiculous one about Title IX, but so many others. And I have hope that if we continue to show up, do our work, and be present, progressive or moderate or wherever we want to be, as long as we're fighting for each other and the rights that we have here, then I think we're going to be able to be okay.
Absolutely. I mean, as we've said over and over, community is how we survive.
It is hot and oppressive time to live in, literally and figuratively, but we got each other's back.
Absolutely.
And on that note, you have been listening to Isn't It Queer on WDBX 91.1, community radio serving the Southern Illinois region. This has been Jonny.
And Heather.
Think Again Please is coming up next, and we'll see you again next week on the radio.